Welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is OmegaZero. This will be a patron roster review, and he's from Rise of the Fallen. Now, he is doing well in Arena. He is a whale. He's actually only been playing for 6 months, and since he's a whale, he hopefully soon we'll be getting into a guild that does Treya and get Treya up there, so that way you can really complete this team by getting rid of, you know, Darth Vader and putting in Darth Treya. That would be a pretty amazing team, and that would really help you get into the top, you know, 5 or top 10 pretty easily. But you're doing amazing in Fleet since the beginning, so that's really good. You focused on Fleet, and really you're getting crystals in the #1 spot every day there, so that's pretty cool. So you wanted me to talk about Fleet, making sure that you're kind of, you know, in the right track, and I really like that you are using your Executrix, and the Executrix is a great offensive ship. However, when I look at all your ships, I actually see Chimera in there as well. It's not level 80 yet, or 85, and it doesn't have all of the abilities leveled up, and so it's not ready to go yet. So you're going to continue to use the Executrix, but you definitely want to focus on leveling up Home 1's abilities, and you definitely want to focus on the Chimera's abilities. Really, those 3 ships have differing functionality for different sections of the game. Endurance, I find I basically never need, but the other 3 I need in different areas of the game for different reasons. So finish off the Executrix to the best of your ability, and then move over and kind of develop Chimera and Home 1 simultaneously. Obviously, the abilities are tied to the gear level of the character on some of them, so for some of the abilities you won't be able to get it any higher than your character's gear level, so that will kind of cap you and naturally keep you there. But definitely you want to look at the Chimera. Even though it's the slowest, you know, of the capital ships, it has the fastest ultimate, and for long-term viability with the ability to put offense up on your side and defense down on the other side, and some of the, you know, team comps you're using, the Chimera is a really great, frustrating capital ship to go against, and so that would make it a great fleet for you to focus on. As far as other ships, you have a 7-star Houndstooth, and so I would highly recommend obviously having that in your initial line with Ghost and the TIE Advanced right now. TIE Advanced is going to be very durable and do a lot of damage, and the Ghost can go stealth and stealth the TIE Advanced, and then they can both shoot. Now the thing with yours is the characters bring in the majority of the bulk of the strength for the ship, and your Houndstooth is obviously at level 1, not level 85, and your guy Bosk is only at gear 7. So you're a whale, so this is the whaley moment you want to whale, is getting this Houndstooth to level 85 and getting your Bosk to gear 11 minimum. Gear 11 is really the place you need to get with ship pilots at a minimum, because that's where you unlock all of the last abilities and make the ship as max as you could possibly do. Obviously going to gear 12, putting gear 12 pieces on, things like that, 6E mods, those will all help in addition, but the minimum in my opinion for ships is going to be gear 11 for now, and then you can focus on finishing and fine-tuning them at the very end. But Houndstooth, definitely get from level 1. I mean, you got a 7-star, it means you bought it and you spent all that money on him, so you definitely want to get the pilot up, the crew member up, and you definitely want to get the gear level up on that. And then Ghost and the TIE Advanced, and then your first reinforcement would be Phantom 2. You've got the reinforcements max. Obviously another really great ship to bring in would be Biggs Darklighter, and you have that reinforcement maxed out, so we think very similarly, I think, so that's really good. And of course Slave 1 is maxed out on the reinforcement, so that's amazing, and Poe Dameron, which is maxed out on reinforcements. So it's really funny, all the ones I was going to suggest, your reinforcements are already done, so what you need to do is focus on those single crew members. The cool thing is Biggs has 1 crew member, Slave 1 has 1 crew member, Poe has 1 crew member, TIE Advanced has 1 crew member, Houndstooth only has 1 crew member, so the only ones that are going to be kind of a pain in your rear is the Phantom 2 and the Ghost, and even I have them still in my favorites in my ships, and even I am still working on developing those 2 ships, crazy enough. But that's the ships that I would suggest for Fleet. Let's go ahead and move into territory battles. You kind of wanted to know about what teams to use for the light side, dark side, like where should you be putting your gear on these characters. So we'll start on the light side. I'll give you 4 teams you should be looking at on the light side, and then 4 teams for the dark side, and you can focus your gear how you see fit, whichever team you find is most important. So the first territory battles light side team that I would focus on is Resistance, and for Resistance you've got, you know, Finn, Poe, BB-8, R2-D2, Ray Scavenger. Obviously when Ray event comes back, you'll be getting her. I'm hoping that you can, you know, get her really soon with the new event, and that's going to add to your Resistance team. But these guys with the exposed mechanic and the Zeta Finn are able to go all the way through to tier 6 as long as you play it right. You know, and then with the exposed abilities, you don't even need to take them higher in gear level, which is pretty amazing. But Resistance is, if you were going to focus on gear, Resistance is one of those 4 light side that I would use, because these guys also work great as an offensive team in territory wars, and there's a few events where you can take in Resistance. Now, obviously, just generalized rebels. I'm not talking about Rogue One or Phoenix specifically, but others such as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Commander Luke Skywalker, who you've got gear 8, Captain Han Solo. He's a really good character to focus on. You know, your Han Solo, crazy enough, is one of the most overpowered rebels in the game, especially with his Zeta, and you've got him 7 stars, but just sitting at level 1. So those are some characters that if you were going to make a rebel team for territory battles and also be able to use it potentially in arena and some other places, your Han Solo needs to be maxed. Captain Han Solo is super overpowered with Obi-Wan in a team like an offensive team, because you can use Obi-Wan and let him die, and then everybody gets buffed, and then you can use Captain Han Solo's ability to bring him back to life, and then you can even end with perfect points even if you lose someone. So Captain Han Solo is also required in territory battles, so definitely on him. And then of course Commander Luke Skywalker, you have gear 8, 7 star, great character, works really well with R2-D2 obviously, and so I would highly recommend continuing to develop. Also, Admiral Akbar, because he has the capital ship, and he's a great lead in a lot of the raids for different raid teams, both for Sith Raid and for the Heroic AAT, and so you want to continue to develop him as well. As far as your Phoenix go, they're probably sufficiently done. You can use them. They have a specific node that you have to do, obviously, in territory battles. But the reason why you would maybe continue to developing these 6 would only be for ships. So they're kind of on a back burner. They're already really good for ships, and they're already really good for territory battles, even up to phase 6. So you may want to kind of shelf these, but I just want to bring them to your attention that you could continue to develop these guys, obviously, to the end game, because they're going to be utilized in ships long term, and they're still always going to be used for territory battles. Now, Rogue One, other than Han Solo in your regular Rebels, Rogue One is really your focus. This is really for everything I've seen on light side. Resistance looked pretty dang good. Rebels looked pretty dang good. Phoenix looked really great. So Rogue One would be the hyper focus, or the #1 focus for your light side for territory battles, which you asked for. Jyn Erso, Cassian, K2SO, Chirrut Imwe, and Baze. Now, you have them all 7 star. I would put a favorites tag on all 5 of these guys, and I would start to gear them. Get them to level 85, because you want to max out that level ability so you can max out their abilities. Their abilities, you need to be at level 82 or above to get their abilities maxed out. And what's really cool is, you've already got them all 7 stars, so now all you have to do is focus on gearing these guys. Now, it may not be fun because these characters aren't the most fun characters to gear, but they have great ships. You're going to get Cassian's ship capability when you level up K2SO Cassian, so there's that. And then also, of course, Chirrut Imwe and Baze Malbus are a great combo. Even now, today, in Team Instinct, we're still using Baze in defensive territory war teams, so it's not going to go for waste. Plus, there's a Rogue One. There's a couple nodes for Rogue One in territory battles. And again, you wanted me to do teams that you need to gear for territory battles. So this is #1 priority for light side. Now, for dark side, the first team that I think of when I think of dark side is actually Night Sisters for territory battles. And this is why, just like Resistance, you can just walk through, basically even under geared, you can walk through all of the nodes for territory battles. The same is true with Night Sisters. Even under geared Night Sisters can do this. And the reason is because of their mechanical capability of coming back to life and all of that with Mother Talzin. So with that said, I would recommend, because you have them all 7 stars, these are the ones I would focus on. Gearing for dark side, it would be Asajj Ventress, Mother Talzin, Zombie, Old Daka, and then either Talia or Spirit. Talia has a little bit more ability damage-wise and durability-wise in the raids, but Spirit is actually functionally for like territory battles and wars a little better functionally because of the dispel and stun and things like that. So because we're talking specifically territory battles, which is what you asked for, I would lean towards the Spirit, and you already have her 7 stars. And so do Zombie, Old Daka, Mother Talzin, Spirit, and Ventress, and then I would probably Zeta Mother Talzin's lead, so that way you can have that durability you're needing. Get all these characters to gear 10, and then you can kind of move on. But this would be the number one, just like Rogue One was your number one light side priority. This is, in my opinion, your number one dark side priority. Now, obviously, you could use an Empire team for territory battles, and there's a few nodes where it requires Empire specific, and you've got a great team for that with Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, Thrawn is in there, so you've got quite a few, Grand Moff Tarkin, the TIE Fighter pilot, so there's quite a few really great characters, but you want to continue to develop those I just mentioned up, and by the way, TIE Fighter pilot under Emperor Palpatine is just amazing in territory battles because of all the crazy damage and the ability with his increased potency and his extra turn meter gains. He just goes crazy fast, lots of turns, lots of damage. So super fun underneath your Emperor Palpatine Zeta lead. Now, when we looked at Empire, you probably saw the Imperial Troopers, and they were kind of needing a little bit of love, and I recommend that your top row, actually everyone in your top row, all 6, that you focus on gearing. This would be another priority, but I would put them underneath Night Sisters, just because Night Sisters do far more damage in the raids, and they're usable everywhere, territory battles, wars, everything. The Imperial Troopers are used almost everywhere as well, but you've got them 7 stars, and you've got them a little higher geared already, so I would do the Night Sisters and then move over to the Imperial Troopers as your number 2 priority, and then you can kind of go into Empire later. But the Imperial Troopers are really, really good. You only Zeta that I would recommend is going to be on Veers. General Veers' Zeta is still one of those definitely worth it Zetas in the game. Now, the last 2 teams could either be First Order or Bounty Hunters. Your First Order's a little more developed and a little more usable right now, so I'm going to lean in on your Bounty Hunters and say they would be the next. So you would do Night Sisters, Imperial Troopers, Bounty Hunters, and then Empire. Or you could do Night Sisters, Bounty Hunters, then go to Imperial Troopers and Empire. But definitely Bounty Hunters are up there in the top 2 or 3 slots for important dark side teams. Not only, obviously, can you use these for, droids in credits and things like that, but these guys obviously were used for the recent Chewie event. And, your Bosk has a really great ship, so he's a great crew member, and Boba Fett is a great crew member, and so there's that. And then, of course, there are now new events that are coming around that use these guys. So because of that, and because these guys have extra bonuses in territory wars, but also with a Bosk Zeta lead, this team in territory battles is like ridiculously durable, and you have a couple of guys that can stun, such as Cad Bane and Dengar. And so because you have that control piece with Bosk's ability to stun and Dengar's ability to stun and Cad's, those guys on the top are amazing. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Embo, because you bought Embo to 7 stars because you've had him 7 stars now for a little while, and he just recently, I believe he went farmable. If not, he's not farmable yet. Either way, you got him. And he is definitely up there in a top 5 slot for Bounty Hunters, and he can do a ton of damage and is very resilient. So definitely gear him up. I'd probably replace on the team IG-88 with him, and I would do Cad Bane, Boba Fett, Embo, Dengar, and Bosk. But Greedo is also a great alternative because he can indefinitely go with his ability. He has a 50% chance to keep shooting over and over and over. And so it's always nice to have substitutions, especially in territory battles, especially when you have to possibly shelf somebody for platoons and then you're down one. For example, you might have to shelf Embo at 7 stars and not have him, and then you would want that 5th person. So those would be the characters on Bounty Hunters that I would focus on. And then you also asked about mod farming. And so with a lot of the events, you can get health mods now and defense mods now, and you can get tenacity mods now and potency mods dropped from time to time. The ones that are really hard to get in events are speed mods, offense mods, and then critical chance, critical damage mods. And so because of that, I would definitely recommend critical chance, critical damage, offense, speed. Those are definitely the ones that you kind of want to focus on, those 4, if you were going to be farming for mods. And remember, it drops a lot of mods. Just sell everything that's not a 5-dot, because if it's not 5-dot, you can't eventually move it up, you know, to 6E. So just sell all your, you know, 2, 3, or 4s that drop, and then all the 5s, go ahead and roll them, even if they're white, to expose all of their stats to see if they have any good stats that you're looking for. It is no longer a thing to just sell all your mods that don't show speed, because now we have to discover what every mod has before selling. And so make sure that when you're farming for mods, even if it drops 10 whites, that you take each of those whites to level 12, so that way you can expose all 4 of the secondary abilities. This is a change, because we used to say, hey, if it was white, you know, and doesn't have any speed, obviously just sell it, but that's not the case anymore. Now a white mod, I had a white mod showing nothing, level 1, leveled it up, and it ended up being a 16 speed at the end. And yes, it requires slicing, but you're going to get slicing ability materials through differing events and whatnot, and you can take turns between farming for mods and farming for the slicing material, and so you can always eventually take up these mods. So just something to consider, but those are the 4 in here I'd focus on: crit chance, crit damage, offense, and speed. You also wanted to know in shipments, like what should you be focused on, what in here should you be buying, and that kind of thing. And really, for your crystal management, crystals, the biggest thing for your crystals is going to be crystal refreshes of your energy. All the energy refreshes are the most important, because that's really power to get all your characters to 7-star. It's your power to get and farm for the gear, and it's something that's required anyway throughout the day. And it's also going to be the ability to get a bunch of mod slicing material and or mods when you're doing mods, because there's 350s as far as refreshes go. So that's the number 1, and always has been number 1. The number 2 thing is, if you, since you're a whale, you're looking for a specific piece of gear that's crunching you. You're trying to get to gear 10 on a character, and you're stuck with this one piece of gear. You can always come in here. Let's say it's a Merson, you know, thermal detonator. You could come in here and buy this prototype for 1,200 crystals, and it would free you up. Then you could pop it from gear 10 to 11 and move on and start farming for the other gear pieces. Sometimes we get caught on specific raid pieces that we can't get, and so that's where this store kind of comes into play. Otherwise, I would really spend all your crystals on refreshes. And then on a rare occasion, since you are a whale, if you're trying to get a character up, let's say you were trying to get Mission up and you have her this close, you could spend some crystals to get her from, you know, 6-star to 7-star if you wanted to whale out like that. But I wouldn't suggest that for every character every time, because they become free to play farmable so quickly. And personally, I farm them from 3-star all the way up with every character that comes out, with the rare exception of a couple of characters that I felt super high value in, such as Enfys Nest, things like that. So that's what I would do with my crystals: refreshes, and then possibly a specific piece of gear from time to time. So OmegaZero, you're doing great. What's up, Rise of the Fallen? You guys have a great dude with you. If you have, and anybody watching this has any suggestions for OmegaZero about territory battles, or maybe even the crystal usage, how you use crystals, leave them in the comments down below, and keep your gaming on. Warrior, out.